What were your emotions today? Did you feel a little sad?
Well, a little bit, but not as much as when Peyton left Indianapolis. That was a different story. He didn't want to leave, and the fans certainly didn't want him to go, and so that was a bit more sorrowful than today. Today was a celebration of a great career. He choked up a little bit when he talked about relationships and people in his family, and that football is a relationship game. That got all of us that have been part of it, because that's really what it's all about. That captures the essence of it. It isn't the wins and losses you remember. It's the relationships and the fun that you had. And he alluded to the plane rides home after victories and things of that nature. That's the thing you miss.
How difficult it is, because you've dealt with all the players, that Michael says it all the time, saying that you die two deaths as a professional athlete. For 18 years and all the years before he joined the NFL, he prepared, he watched film, and that comes to an end. How difficult is that for an athlete to go through?
Well, it's very difficult, and it's something that he faced in making this decision. But he said in his remarks that it was the right time. There's no question about that. He's convinced of it. And I think fatherhood and the growth of his twins, who will, it's hard for me to believe, will be off to school, to kindergarten next fall, probably had a lot to do with that, too. He wants to be the kind of father to them that Archie and parents to them that Archie and Olivia were to him and his brothers. So that had I'm sure, an influence on it. And, he just felt that given everything that he's given to the game, even though he's going to miss it greatly, it was the time to go.
Now, Bill, you were the GM in Indianapolis when he was drafted. The reports you had on him, did you have any doubts about him at all? What were your biggest concerns, if any?
Well, you always have concerns with every rookie because you don't know how they'll transition to the National Football League. But we had fewer with him than with most because the intangibles were A-plus 4-star. His athletic ability was better than advertised. His arm strength was far better than advertised, and his accuracy was as good as any that I've seen. And his motivation, his desire to be great, was off the charts. So, we knew that there would be a break-in period. There's no question about that. He alluded to the fact that he led the league in rookie interceptions, and it still holds that record to this day. But he rectified that, and we knew that he would, and came on. And obviously, no one can predict a first-ballot Hall of Fame career. There's no scout alive that can do that. But in terms of knowing that he would be a guy who could lead you to a championship, we felt very good about that. I guess I should take it back, Michael, and tell you that Tom Greenway, who found Mickey Mantle, was probably the only one who, in the history of scouting, who did that.
Now, looking back, it's laughable, the distance between Peyton Manning and who was drafted second, Ryan Leaf.
Right.
But at the time, how close were they?
Well, when we arrived in Indianapolis in January, just after the first of the year, the scouting staff was split 50-50.
Really?
Yeah, 50% Peyton, 50% Ryan. And so we said, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. We're going to look at every pass they threw in their college careers. And then we're going to go through all of the various and sundry details and background checks and things like that you do to try and get the full measure of a player, not just what you see on the tape. And as we arrived in March, there was a pretty wide gap between Peyton and Ryan, and it just began to grow ever stronger, ever wider, day by day. So by the time we arrived at the draft, we were very, very comfortable with our decision.
We're talking with the Hall of Famer Bill Polian. And Bill, we've been talking about this since we came on the air, and there seems to be differing opinions. Maybe you know the answer. What was the reason behind Peyton not coming out as a junior? Was it because Parcells would not guarantee he would draft him with the first pick?
I never asked him.
Really?
I've never asked him that question. I don't know the answer.
Interesting. Now, do you believe he could have played next year?
Yeah, probably in the right situation. But here's the problem. He's a student of football history, and he knows what the actuarial tables are because we discussed that 5 years ago. At age 39, that's the wall. No elite quarterback, and obviously only elite quarterbacks reach that age, has played well after the age of 39, and almost everyone has had their career ended by injury. And he's played the last 4 years with a spinal fusion, which is really almost a miracle in and of itself. So when you go out there for one more year at his age, given his injury history, which over the last 2 years has been pretty significant, you're tempting fate, and I don't think he wanted to do that. And frankly, I'm glad that he didn't.
I wanted to pick your brain, Bill, on the Jets situation with Fitzpatrick. Do you buy into last year when you decide to extend him, or would you be itching towards maybe finding somebody else, maybe younger, if you're going to spend that money on taking this team into the future?
Well, I think the first question is, if not Fitz, whom? And I don't know who that is. You can draft a player, but he's not going to be ready to play. I can assure you, I feel pretty strongly that even the players at the top of the draft at the quarterback position are not ready to play for reasons that have nothing to do with their ability or where they're going to be drafted. So the question is, if it's not Fitz, who? The other quarterback, hasn't shown any degree of anything that would give you a degree of confidence that he could do it. So yeah, I think if you can arrive at something with Fitz that makes sense financially, he's got probably 4 or 5 more good years in him. He can, with Chan, he can continue to grow on what he did last year. Will he ever be the guy that gets all the headlines every day for doing all these miraculous things? No, but I think, you can look at him and say, with a great defense and a good running game, this is a quarterback who can win for you. That's the way I view him.